Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Can It Take a K26, the show where I take a variety of Nerf blasters and see if they can be upgraded using a K26 spring, and if not, what upgrades can be done to them. And I have a bit of a treat for you today. Today we are going to be covering a variety of smart AR blasters. Many of these have been requested in the comments, some of them several times, so we're going to cover a few of them. Our first contestant of the Smart AR episode is the Nerf Split Strike, or at least half of a Nerf Split Strike. I don't actually have both halves. I found this one at Goodwill and didn't have the other one, which is tragic. But the Split Strike was originally released in 2015 as part of the N-Strike Elite line. It features a direct plunger, and of course what was so neat, or perhaps if you feel gimmicky about it, was that there were two of them that went side by side. You could prime them both at the same time, and you could pull both triggers at the same time, effectively making it a two-shot pistol shotgun, which is the sort of thing that I would really like. They also went ahead and put the hooks on the bottom of the handles like they have on the Fire Strike, which allows you to hook and prime each of them while you've got a blaster in your hand, so you could effectively dual wield them and reprime them. They've got two barrels each, so 4 shots altogether, so 2 fired together, or 4 shots if you're firing them individually. Smart AR system, of course, which we'll find out how well that actually takes K26, but first we have to find out if it takes K26 at all. So, let's bust it open and find out. So the release mechanism also prevents you from pulling the trigger. I had no idea. Fascinating. Okay, let's take a look. Nice, decent sized plunger tube. Unfortunately, it is part of the era where they made it so the plunger heads no longer come off, but it is part of the era with padded plunger heads, so that is very nice for K26ing. It looks to all the world like another Nightfinder reshell, effectively, which of course bodes well, as all of that line so far has taken K26 just fine. Down to the last of another package of K26. I'll have to open up my final box, and then I will have to order more, which is awesome because it means you are actually buying my K26 blasters. Which is neat because I'm putting all of that money back into the channel. In fact, just today I ordered a chronograph. So I will be able to actually give you guys chronograph readings on these upgrades, as well as draw weights and ranges. So we'll be able to get some science going on this whole K26 business. We can get sufficient compression. We are going to want to increase the catch spring, of course, because that's pretty much a must. Alright, let's give it a try. We are not catching. Perhaps we do not have sufficient compression after all. That'll teach me to screw it all the way back together before testing. I blame myself. Oh, we're short by about a half a coil. Alright, let's give it a try. There we go. Whoo! That is lovely. Well, there you have it. The Split Strike can, in fact, take K26 and seems to take it really, really well. I imagine having 2 K26s on either side would make for a vicious draw. You'd probably have to draw them one at a time, but that would be an awful lot of power. Cannot take the air restrictors out, of course, because it's a smart AR system. However, I'm having a thought. These would, of course, be available on my Etsy page. I suppose I only have the one half. If somebody is interested in getting a set, let me know. I can probably source a set and build that. Also, if there's anyone out there who wears earrings, you might be interested in a pair of earrings made out of leftover K26 spring. I'm kind of tempted to see what I could do. It would be a really nerdy thing, and only you would have any idea the significance of it, but let me know in the comments if that's something you might be interested in, because that kind of sounds like fun. I think I still have some of my earring making equipment around here, so. There's that! On to the next contestant! Our next contestant on Can It Take a K26, the Nerf Zombie Strike Crossfire Bow. The Crossfire Bow was originally released in 2014 as part of the Zombie Strike line. It usually features a faux crossbow prod, but this being a Goodwill find, it was already missing, and good riddance because it does nothing and I just have to take it off anyway. It is also a smart AR blaster having 4 barrels that would fire from the top and work its way down as you primed and fired. It is a direct plunger blaster, which is usually a good sign in this show, but it does look like it's going to be an indirect, or it's going to be an offset plunger rod, which is generally not a good sign. It also had a stock mount, which is kind of nice, but for my big monkey hands, the grip is just a little bit too small, but these are made for cute children after all, and I have unusually large hands. But what we really want to know, of course, can it take a K26? Let's find out. Okay, well, that will never do. I don't think there's any way that that connection could ever support a K26. I have put an extra spring in it, and it does appear to be working, but when I put a K26 in it, I could already start to see a stress crack right there, and decided it just was not worth the effort, or risk breaking the blaster. So that's a no, but I did increase the catch spring, increase the spring load, and we're going to put it back together and see how well it works with its upgrades. Alright, well, that was of course a no for the Crossfire Bow, but a yes to a spring upgrade. It is hitting significantly harder now. It's even a little bit too much for the air restrictor to handle, so that is something. This one will get tossed up on my Etsy page should anybody be interested in this particular blaster. On to the next contestant. Our next contestant is the Nerf Double Down. The Double Down was originally released in 2015 as part of the N-Strike series. It has 2 barrels and uses a smart AR system, though we're going to see if we can't do something about that. I've wanted to get my hands on one of these for a while, and wouldn't you know, I found it at Goodwill today. It, of course, fires 1 dart at a time. I want to see if I can't make it fire both. First, we're going to see if it can take a K26, then we're going to see if we can't upgrade the spring if that fails, and one way or the other, we're going to see if we can't take the AR out of this and turn it into a little shotgun pistol. So, let's do this. I'll have my screw. Okay, well, it's fairly simple internals, but it does have an actual proper plunger catch, which is something that we will be able to increase the spring on, so hopefully it'll be able to take the weight, unlike things like the Triad, which doesn't actually have a real true plunger catch and a little bit more difficult to increase. You can, of course, but it's not as simple as just adding a heavier spring. The plunger does seem nice and big. The question is, of course, whether the K26 will fit in the plunger head, and if there will be any way to get enough compression. Those are usually the things that prevent us from being able to upgrade to K26. Also, hopefully, the plunger head screws off. It does, but interesting. A very large plunger tube, but a very small plunger head. which does not bode well. However, there is plenty of room between the plunger head and the back of the actual plunger rod. So we may have to remove all of this support, but that might just allow us to get some K26 in here. So we are certainly going to give it a try because I really want this to have enough power to shoot both darts at once. So the issue is, of course, always sufficient compression. If I Dremel out most of this material, how much K26 can I get between the back of this and the back of this, since there is that gap? I could probably get this whole thing in there, which would be a beastly amount of K26. And I'm just crazy enough to do it. Naturally, you probably couldn't see any of that because I still can't seem to remember to do my dremeling in such a manner that you can see what I'm doing. But the moral of the story is, I think it's going to work. Anything less than 15 kilograms, and I'm going to add more spring. Well, it's only coming in at 12, so we're going to put the original spring back in. Coming in now at about 14, which is a little less than I'd like. Alright, I'm going to attempt to drill out the ARs, and I don't want you to see this because it might be ugly. Incidentally, I was in fact able to bore it out enough to get brass in there without any problem. I didn't hurt myself, I didn't hurt the thing. Now I'm just rasping out the other one. Ooh, don't want to do that. Alright, the barrels are done. Need a heavier catch spring. There we go. Now it's catching. Don't know if it'll actually release. Magnificent. Not only can it take a K26 and then some, you can brass the barrels and you can remove the ARs, so it'll fire them both at once. You do have to increase the catch spring, as per usual. And it will, in fact, also fit into the holster on my tack vest. So this has been a fantastic build all around, and I'm very happy with it. But on to the next contestant. Our final contestant for the Smart AR episode is, of course, the Nerf Dual Strike. This is one that was very commonly requested. The Dual Strike was originally released in 2016 as part of the N-Strike Elite series. It features a direct plunger, which is, of course, a good sign for this series, and it features something unique. It fires two different types of ammunition. It fires Mega Darts and Elite Darts. There's a little switch on the side that switches between them. It's a Smart AR system, so it's got 3 barrels of each. And I have heard that these things, when singled, can be absurdly powerful due to the ridiculously large plunger head. Now, if you're paying attention, you will notice that the barrels have already been sealed. Most of these barrels had holes in them in ridiculous places to cut down on the amount of power, because if it's powerful enough to fire a Mega Dart, it's way too powerful to fire an Elite Dart, according to Hasbro. So they drilled holes to try to restrict it. Well, I've plugged them all, but I have not yet answered the question, can it take a K26? So let's find out. Alright then, let's take a look at this thing. Good lord, that plunger tube is enormous. I'd forgotten that. I've already sealed it, of course, in all the various places. The switch that goes between the two is not the greatest seal in the world, but it's decent. But let's see what we can do with the spring. So I've actually gone a step further. Yes, it can take K20, well, K26 fits. I also still have its stock spring in there, or a bit extra. I've gone more. It's actually heavier than K26 in this thing. Let's see if it can handle it. I had to put a really beefy catch spring. We're gonna button it up and see if this monstrosity will catch and fire. Alright, let's see what happens. Oh, that is lovely. Oh! Yeah, that is mean. That is beautiful. So, yes, the dual strike can take a K26 plus a little bit more. Like I said, I've heard of people singling these things and them being downright terrifying. I would like to know, and I don't know enough about the Smart AR system to know if this is possible, and I don't want to tinker with it for fear of breaking it, so I will ask, and hopefully someone out there knows, is there a way to get it to fire the first 2 barrels at the same time, and then fire a single one? That's what I'd really like it to do. So you've got 1 shot of shotgun, and then 1, I would brass the heck out of it, make a long barrel with a ramrod so that you could feed it way down in there and have 1 really long range shot. Don't know if that's possible. Let me know if you think it is, or if you have theories about it in the comments below. Let's recap. All right then, for those of you keeping score at home, we have a yes for the split strike. We have a yes and then some for the double down. I was able to take out the ARs and turn it into a shotgun pistol. I want to try that with the split strike. I would particularly like to do it with both sides of a split strike so that I could actually have either 2 shots of double barrel or 1 shot of all 4, because that's just a magnificent amount of firepower. We had a no for the Zombie Strike Crossfire bow, but a yes to a spring upgrade. The indirect plunger rod just couldn't take the force. It might be able to if you reinforced it, but I didn't want to do that at this time. If you really want one that has a K26 in it, I could probably figure out a way to reinforce it. Otherwise, it'll go on my Etsy page with its current upgrades. And finally, that was a yes for the dual strike and then some, making it hit like a brick. It's fantastic. Let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas about being able to make it fire the first 2 barrels at once and then fire the 3rd barrel. That would be fantastic, but I don't know if it's even remotely possible. Also, leave in the comments any suggestions, ideas, thoughts you have about future episodes of Can It Take a K26. And as always, thank you for watching.